Good morning, Dimitri. It's the third episode of our bi-weekly show. We were a bit on a delay because last week was kind of a struggle to get it organized. I was in Vienna for a CTO event that we were organizing there, and my flight got delayed and stuff like that. So happy that we can do it now, right before the Christmas break. How's your week's been recently?
My week's been good. I'm just happy we're doing it, right? Because when you do something 3 times, it becomes a habit. So really happy we're doing it. So yeah, it's been a good week. Busy as always, right? But I think you can feel that
Cool.
we're nearing the end of the year. That's what's going,
Yeah.
easy
We had
now.
a conversation with one of our CTOs, I think yesterday, on something that struck us. Like he compared the work that we're doing with archaeology. I think. How do you look at that? Like, do you agree
Yeah,
with that comparison?
yeah, no, I think we were talking about it yesterday, and also last week I was talking with one of our engineers who was on a project. And yeah, I think it's a very good term. I think we have to be many things. We're often a technical leader, we're a diplomat, but I think an archaeologist is a really good addition to that, because, the systems, the legacy systems that we join, the companies that we want to help out, you often get into a situation where there's a lot of legacy code. But then also on top of that, the team doesn't really know anymore how it works. Either there has been like a lot of people leaving, or, from a product point of view, the product management team don't know how everything works. And then, you're thrown into such a project, and then you have to start digging, right? Really digging again.
Mhm.
Matches with the term, and you have to go layer by layer, go deeper, try to understand functionalities, try to understand why things were implemented in a certain way. And I think the term archaeologist, it's a perfect term for it. And I think what is hard sometimes is that the stakeholders, they underestimate this part. They just think like, okay, just go in and do some coding and fix it. Yeah, when you start to ask questions, there is nobody that can answer them, and then they just like us, going deeper and trying to solve it all. So yeah, I like the addition of that.
Personally, I don't think it's a good comparison, because if you're an archaeologist, what you're doing is you're digging into the past to put it into a museum, right? You scrape layer by layer very carefully. You put it in a museum, and actually, it's for people to come and watch at it. But that's not what we do, because what we do is basically we operate on live software, right? So I think it's more like someone started building a building, right? And halfway they stopped, or halfway they go bankrupt. And then there is another crew that needs to come in to finish it. And there is no plan. The architect is not there anymore. The contractor is not there anymore. So you have to start figuring out, like, these wires, are they already wired up or not? Is there power on them? Do we know that? Do we get electrocuted to these things? Or the plumbing? Yeah, how is this supposed to work? And I think it's more like that, because when you're an archaeologist, I mean, of course, it's, I think, very valuable work that you're doing, and you can learn a lot from that. But I think it's more the kind of diving into something that's operational or needs to be operational, rather than, and maybe my example of diving into, I mean, jumping into a building that's under construction is one thing, but I think it's even worse if you are going to start renovating an existing building that already has tenants in it. I think that's even more worrisome, because
Yeah,
then you need to start
yeah,
talking with the tenants as well, like, to figure out, like, yeah, but we need to redo the plumbing here in your apartments. You have to move out for a couple of days. These kind of discussions. So I think it's more like that.
let's be honest,
Sorry to
Andreas. In
burst
the
your
end,
bubble.
no. In the end, you're more into construction and renovation, right? So I get
That's
that you're
true.
going for that. So I think, yeah, it depends like which angle you want to take, but it's very apt for the work that we do. And sometimes the initial phase of that is really hard. It takes time.
Yeah, absolutely. Discovery and figuring out. Cool. And you just also don't jump into something like that without some kind of plan and without the time to figure out
Exactly.
how to do it. Cool.
Do you
Maybe. Yeah,
do you
sure.
have any news item for this week?
Yeah, I was going to say, probably, I mean, you're not reading a lot of tech news, so probably haven't seen that, but there is plans, and that's also why SpaceX, I think, wants to IPO. There is plans to build data centers in space, right? I don't know if you've seen anything of
No,
that.
no,
No.
no. Yeah, you caught me out
Yeah.
on this one. I'm not that up to date on what happens in space. Is it
It's
because it's cold in
pretty.
there? It's cold in space.
No, it's cool because it's cold and warm. So basically, there was like a good Twitter thread on it, I believe, where basically you can see how they want to do it. It's like, of course, one side of the data center is a solar array, and the other side is the cooling. Because on the one side it's very warm, I mean, or with the solar arrays, and on the other side it's cold because it's dark. So it makes quite some sense. And yeah, the thing is, of course, I think Google And SpaceX are the only companies who can do that, because Google has already satellites, I think, in space. And with SpaceX, it's really crazy because, of course, they have all the infrastructure with Starlink. They can, I mean, it makes so much sense for them to do it. It's probably very easy for them to do it as well. So I think it's a crazy idea. But of course, if that would make them, and it will make them climate neutral, because well, of course, you need to get them into space, right? But as soon as they're in space, I mean, they don't consume any energy anymore, which is, I think, pretty cool. I mean, I'm still a bit worried about all the space debris that they're creating. When I had a chance one day to
for
see,
future
like,
generations, right?
without realizing it, a Starlink array deploying in the sky, one in France. I think it's very cool. But if you start looking at the sky now, like half the things you see is Starlink, which is, of course, I mean, when looking at the stars, which is for me, I mean, it's sad. I have to tell my kids it's all made up things. It's not actually the real thing anymore. But other than that, I think it's a promising thing that's happening, and I see the benefits of it as well. And I think if you would have asked us that like maybe 5 or 10 years ago, we would have called you crazy, right?
Yeah.
But these
But
days,
that's the same about
it's cool.
the data centers in space, right? It's the same. Like now we say, oh, it will not be possible, or it's far from our bed show, put it like that. But soon, yeah, it might become a reality.
Yeah, I think that the starting satellites, in some aspect, they're already some kind of data centers probably in the sky. So I mean, doing the actual data centers, just deploying different machines in it, I guess will make a lot of sense. Cool. Not sure. I mean, the next 2 weeks we're on a holiday break, so I think we will record the next episode right after that. So make sure you catch up with the tech news while during the holidays, so that you can bring in a topic.
Roger that.
Cool. Okay, cool. Have a good one.
Bye bye.
Yo.